You're listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast, the show with a light-hearted look at the eventing world, all of the big event previews, reviews, and special guests, and of course, backed up with all of the key Echo Ratings stats. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Now, listeners, we thought that this weekend for POH, we would take you along with the journey of one of the competitors. And we have got a very lovely guest who has agreed to share her POH experience with us. And I'm really excited to follow along because she is an amateur competing at the very highest level of the sport. Welcome to the show, Katie Preston.
Hi, Nicole.
Thank you so much for coming on. You are currently in POH. We are recording this Wednesday. We're going to catch up with you after each of the phases throughout the weekend as well. But first of all, how was your journey? Because it's a pretty long way to the south of France, isn't it?
It is a long way. Luckily, we're only an hour from Dover. So that's sort of the first bit at Dover and the ferry, and that was all quite easy. Then I went and stopped over with a good friend of mine, Tom Carlisle. So that was about 6 hours from Dover, and then stopped over at his, which was great because I put TJ out in the field for a few hours, then had dinner with Tom and got to see the lovely Upsilon looking amazing. And
I was going to say, I hope he went Upsilon stalking while you were there.
Yeah, he was just a couple of doors down from TJ. TJ was with royalty.
Amazing. And he's looking well.
He's looking incredible. Yeah, he's doing so well. Really back to being a happy horse. So
good.
Yeah, fingers crossed that he can stay so well and happy.
Oh, good. That's good news. So then you continued. Sorry, I quite often go off on an Upsilon-shaped path. Then you continued back on the journey to POH.
Yeah, so we left at about 7 o'clock yesterday morning from Tom's. And it's probably about another 8 hours. We just stopped once just to let TJ off and have a little walking around and a graze. And because he's a funny little horse, he won't drink on the lorry and he won't wee on the lorry. But as soon as you get him off, he drinks and wees. So we stopped and let him have a little chill and then carried on and got to POH at about 3 o'clock yesterday.
And how is everything at POH? Does it feel... I know it's your first visit, but does it feel very different or is it all quite relaxed at the moment?
It's quite relaxed. Everyone's wearing masks. They're being very strict about wearing masks. And we were interested to see how the cocktail drinks went yesterday. So you did have to sit down at your tables in your sort of groups. Then you could take your mask off once you were sat down, and they brought drinks and food to you, obviously, rather than the whole normal gathering, mixing, mingling. So not quite the same, but they're doing their best to make it as normal and fun as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us a bit about yourself, because I've already alluded to the fact you are an amateur rider. You are actually a full-time vet who competes. I think you've got 3 horses or so that you compete. Just the 2 horses, one of whom actually had a great result at Osberton in the young horse class just a few weeks ago. But
yeah, she's lovely.
So you're competing 2 horses, including TJ, Templar Justice, who we'll come on to talk about in a moment. But tell us a bit about you, because you are a full-time vet. How do you manage it all?
I think just by having lovely horses to ride, so that it's something I want to get home and do, or I want to get up early and do. So say I've got Templar Juno and Templar Justice, who are just the most amazingly talented, but also just lovely to work with. So I can't wait to get home in the evening and ride. And they seem to quite happily, I suppose, because I've had them both since very young horses, they're used to my regime. They're not used to we're in a big yard and everything fits in around them. They fit in around me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Where do you keep them? Are they at home, close to home?
So they're at my mum's house, which is literally 5 minutes from my house, 5 minutes-ish from work. So really handy. And they live out 24/7. So, because they're quite happy just doing that and being horses, which means that, you know, whatever time I get there in the morning or the evening, I can just get them in, ride and put them back out again. So it works well.
Is Templar Justice living out 24/7 at the moment, even just, I mean, obviously not in Poe, but even as part of his build-up?
Yes, yeah, he lives out 24/7 all year round, unless it gets far too muddy for sort of feet and legs sort of to be healthy in the mud. Depends, but yeah, we try to keep him out all the time. He's actually the one that much prefers it. You give him access to a stable and a shelter, and he will be standing out in the worst rain and weather. He just loves to be out and eating grass.
Fair enough. Now, I know a lot of people listening to this are probably thinking, oh my God, her horses live out 24/7. That is the dream. But she's also a vet, which must make life a little bit easier and very handy in the horse side of things as well.
Indeed, very handy. But then I think it also makes me stress a bit more about like all the what could happen, what might happen. Oh, there's a tiny little lump there, and I know that lump is overlying that structure, so therefore he can't have just knocked it. He must have like done a leg or something like that. But then I can just bring the scanner home from work, scan it, and go, okay, breathe again.
Yeah, take a breath. He's all right. Tell us about Templar Justice, because he is a real little character. He's been your sort of horse of a lifetime, really. I mean, he's taken you up to 5-star. You've been to Luhmuhlen. You've done 2 Burgleys, badminton. It's your first trip to Poe, but he is a little bit of a pocket rocket as well, isn't he? He's not very big.
He is. He's tiny. I always kind of forget how little he is because I'm just so used to him. And then, everywhere I go, where even people that know him, but every time they see him again, they go, gosh, he's small. The first thing that Piggy said to me yesterday, she went, God, he's so cute and tiny. I was like, oh, can people stop saying that? But no, it's true. And I don't mind because he is small in stature, but he's got a huge attitude on him, and he definitely doesn't realise it on the cross-country course.
He's bred very well for the job, isn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, both his parents went to old 3-star, new 4-star. He's by Western Justice out of a mare called Welton Vivat, Emily Baldwin used to ride. So, yeah, bred in the purple, maybe what people sort of would call more old-fashioned breeding. He's a lot of British blood rather than the sort of more European jumping lines. Helps me out on cross-country day, but maybe doesn't gain us those few extra marks in the dressage or necessarily leave the poles up in the show jumping. But his attitude to try his hardest for me is incredible.
Now, this weekend in Poe, talk us through your hopes for the weekend. You've just mentioned his dressage perhaps isn't his favourite phase. Have you got a target for the first phase and before we move on to the jumping?
I mean, I'd hoped to. This year, actually, he's been a lot stronger. He's been a lot better in himself and more consistent in his work. So I had hoped for, a sub 35 for him would be, probably easily a personal best. Only slight complication at the moment is I hurt my back last week and haven't myself ridden him for a week, other than a little walk around yesterday.
Oh, that's not ideal.
It's not ideal preparation, but it's much better now. I'm just being really cautious about doing too much because obviously trying to save it for when it matters. So whether we'll be able to pull out our very best dressage remains to be seen. I'll give him a school later today and see how it feels. But, he tries his hardest, but he is built quite downhill on his forehand, and he's not the biggest mover or the most supple. So although he'll do all the movements in the right places, he certainly sort of lacks that sort of suppleness and cadence that the judges really look for.
And then,
but yeah, somewhere around 35 I'd be chuffed with.
Okay, that's a good target to have. I was just wincing slightly when I thought bad back sitting trot on your behalf.
Yeah, luckily he hasn't got a very big trot.
Have you had chance? We were only talking very early Wednesday morning. Have you had any chance to look at the course yet?
I haven't. I mean, you can see a few jumps from walking around, but no, I haven't seen the course at all yet.
Okay, well, we will pick your brains on what you think of Pierre Michelet's cross-country track when we speak to you post-dressage. We don't know when your dressage is going to be just yet, because I don't think they're doing the draw till later. Is that right?
No, not till later. Apparently that's quite usual for the French, that they do it after the, or a bit last minute. They're doing it after the trot-up. The trot-up isn't until 5:30 our time. So I think they're not planning to do the draw until about 6-7 o'clock tonight.
Okay, so we'll find out Wednesday evening when you'll be doing your dressage, and we will catch up with you post dressage to find out how that first phase went, and hopefully get a few thoughts on what is in store on the cross country course as well. But thank you so much for coming on to talk to us, because we can't wait to follow your journey over the weekend.
I can't wait to be on my journey.
Good luck. If anybody wants to follow along on social media, how can they find you?
On Instagram, I'm KP Eventing Vet, and on Facebook, Katie Preston Eventing.
Okay, perfect. There you go, listeners. If you want to go and get some behind the scenes, I'm sure you can go and follow Katie and take a closer look at the very, very gorgeous and diminutive, talented superstar that is Templar Justice. Good luck, and we will catch up with you post dressage, but I hope the back holds out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. Listeners, we hope you've enjoyed a little sneaky insight into Katie's journey to Pau, and we will, as I say, catch up with her post-dressage and as we go through the weekend as well. Don't forget, the Pau preview show is out now. The whole team picking their podiums and, of course, keeping you up to date with the ones to watch. There is plenty of discussion, few disagreements, lots of stats, and you might have a little bit of a laugh along the way as well. And we will be back throughout the weekend. So if you don't already, hit the subscribe button and we'll be back very soon. But a big thank you to Katie, and we'll be back on the show very shortly. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media. It's time for you to go up against thousands of eventing fans all over the world, because Eventing Manager is back, and this time there are real life competitions. Pick your fantasy eventing team of 4 from a virtual $10 million budget to be in with a chance of winning prizes, to play for your country and against your friends. The game will be available to play at a number of top competitions throughout the rest of the year, so what are you waiting for? Download the app for free in your App Store or on Google Play to get involved today. Visit echoratings.com for more information and use the hashtag eventingmanager or tag @echoratings across social media. We would love to see your teams. Good luck, and we hope you enjoy playing Eventing Manager.